Andy Scargill, Chairman of the Friends of the Countess of Chester Country Park. It's the 10-year anniversary of the opening of the park to the public. What would you say are the key achievements in the last 10 years?
Well, I think the first one is that when the park was opened officially in 2014 by the current Queen, when she was the Countess of Chester, there was a vision for the park being somewhere that would be good for health and well-being and so forth. And I think the success is that we've actually made it that. That there was no guarantee in the beginning that it was basically just a green space. And I think we're all those of us working on the site are very proud that we've managed to achieve that.
So when you say those of us working on the site, can you give us a little bit of insight into what sort of work has been undertaken here?
Well, I would say that the bulk of the sort of practical work on the site has been done by a charity called the Conservation Volunteers, who meet up every week and do conservation work and so forth. But then the Friends group have been working alongside them, and we've brought various ideas and projects, and it's a joint effort really between the Conservation Volunteers and ourselves that we have all these different things that attract so many people, and the park has now become a destination.
So can you give us some examples of things that are attractive to the people who come here? So the sort of projects that you've completed.
Well, one of the very earliest was, of course, is Parkrun, and over to the right-hand side of me is the point where on a Saturday at 9 o'clock you'll get 300 to 400 people belting off down the path behind me. So that was probably one of the early ones, but then probably one of our, I would say the things we're most proud of is where we're standing as well, which is at the end of something called the Fallen for the Fallen Poppy Trail, which was a project to remember the centenary of the end of the First World War.
Okay, so there's also a nature trail as well. So obviously you're trying to appeal to sort of educational and teachers being able to bring their pupils here, that kind of thing. But these are the kind of aims you were looking at.
Yeah, but we've worked very closely with Chester Zoo. That they have a project called Wildlife Connections, and that's all about engaging with the public of all ages to try and get them to appreciate the green spaces around them and to improve them. And we think through the various activities that we've done on the back of that, like the nature reserve and the various trails, that we have achieved that.
So looking forward, as it's the 10-year anniversary, where do you think the park will be in the next 5 years, and where do you think maybe the next 10 years? What will we be talking about in 10 years?
Well, what we would hope that in 10 years' time, a lot of certainly the conservation work that we've done at the moment will be looking better. We've spent the last 10 years laying hedges, improving the infrastructure around us. Wildflower meadows, they're all very young at the moment. So in 5 to 10 years' time, we would hope that the young trees that we've planted are now taller. We'd hope that the wildflower meadows are more diverse. We would hope that the number of butterflies and birds and so forth will continue to improve, and it has improved over the last 10 years, and we hope it will continue to improve even better over the next.
So, what are the 3 key reasons that people enjoy the park the most?
Well, I think the first one is, if you ask a lot of people, that they would say it's a peaceful place. They come here for a walk, they might have a ton of things on their minds, and as they walk around the space, those are lifted away. Other people come for exercise, and it's fantastic for that. And then other people just come to look at things of interest, like over to my right-hand side here, we've got the start of the art trail, and that's been very, very popular.
How are the Friends of the Park and other interested parties working towards keeping the park open in, say, 15, 20, 25 years?
It's a very good question. And I would say that if the park is going to be as good as it is now in 20 years, it will be a continuation of working in partnership with those who own the site, those who work in the site, those who volunteer in the site. And as long as that happens, then in 20 years' time, I can see this being just as beautiful as it is now.